Hello, my friends! From dairy farms in the east to cranberry marshes in the west and vast cornfields in the central area, Wisconsin agriculture is characterized by diversity and embodies a rich agricultural heritage and the best agricultural traditions of the United States. Known as America's DairyLand, Wisconsin has always been the nation's leader in dairy production. With its rolling green pastures and its iconic black and white Holstein cows dotting the landscape. Step into Wisconsin's agricultural realm and you will discover a tapestry of hard-working farmers' iconic products and deep appreciation for the bounties of this earth. According to USDA statistics, in 2022 in Wisconsin, there are 14.3 million acres of land being used for agriculture, and the average size of a farm in this state is 223 acres. As of November 2022, there are approximately 67,000 active farms in Wisconsin, and 63% of them are crop farms. In addition, the number of dairy farms in this state also reaches nearly 12,000 farms. When it comes to Wisconsin agriculture, the first thing that most people will think of is the dairy farms and the famous cheese brands of this land. Once harvested, hundreds of millions of pounds of milk are sent to factories to be processed into cheese. Basically, cheese production at factories will need to go through stages such as pasteurization of milk, coagulation, cutting, and stirring, cooking, and removal of whey. According to a report provided by the USDA, in 2022, milk production in Wisconsin is 2.62 billion pounds, with 93% of milk production in the state used to make cheese. In recent decades, Wisconsin has always been the state with the largest cheese production in the country. Ranked in the next positions respectively are California, Idaho, and New York. Each year, dairy and cheese companies in Wisconsin generate an economic impact of about $45.6 billion. In addition, the dairy industry in this state also provides about 157,000 regular jobs. We are currently located in the eastern part of Wisconsin, where there are sturgeon farms to produce premium caviar. At these farms, using modern technology, fish farmers will separate female sturgeon eggs to fertilize with the sperm of male sturgeon. This process will be done in aquariums where the temperature and oxygen concentration have been optimized to perfection. Each female sturgeon usually lays about 1.3 to 2 million eggs per pregnancy, and during fertilization, the success rate is usually 75 to 90%. Currently, most varieties of sturgeon need to be raised for 5 to 9 years to be eligible for egg harvesting and caviar production. This is also one of the main reasons why caviar has been considered a luxury dish for the elite. Usually, sexual identification of sturgeon will be done when they reach 3 to 4 years of age. At this time, the female sturgeons will be transferred to another area and the male sturgeon will be harvested for meat. As of 2022, there are only 27 active sturgeon farms in the United States. And these farms are distributed mainly in states such as California, Wisconsin, Florida, and Idaho. After about 7 to 10 years, the female sturgeon will reach a weight of 35 to 130 pounds depending on the breed, and at this point the egg harvesting will be done. The process of separating eggs and handling sturgeon can only be carried out by highly skilled and meticulous workers. According to the 2021 census, the amount of caviar produced in the United States is 41,300 pounds, and 37% of that is produced on farms in Wisconsin. Each year, the caviar industry in the United States brings in about $500 to $550 million in revenue. We are now located in the western part of Wisconsin. Here, solar farms are built. The breeding of some animals is also used to take advantage of the vacant land, manage vegetation, and diversify income sources. Currently, the most commonly raised animal on solar farms in Wisconsin is sheep. Hundreds of sheep are regularly grazed in the area, which will help prevent overgrowth of vegetation and reduce the efficiency of solar panels. Although not the state with the largest number of solar farms in the United States, Wisconsin agriculture is quite famous for its pattern of grazing animals in or around these farms. We are currently located in the north of Nigeria, which is said to have the most goat and sheep farms in Africa. Every morning, hundreds of goats here will come out of the barn, and they are herded by farmers to pastures near the farm to graze. Unlike goats raised in Australia or the United States, farmers in Africa often just graze their goats in the pastures right next to their farm, instead of taking long trips to other distant lands. This makes it easier for them to control their herd and avoid predators that are very common here, such as hyenas, leopards, or African wild dogs. It is estimated that by 2022 in Nigeria, there will be 1.3 million active livestock farms, and goats are said to be the largest livestock species in the country, with about 37 million heads accounting for 23% of the total population of goats raised in Africa. Currently, most goats raised in Africa is for the purpose of meat production. Due to rather outdated livestock technology, the number of goats raised for milk production in this continent accounts for only 27%. Farmers don't only graze herds in the grasslands, they also often combine planting and harvesting hay for food storage, and this is only done by the yard farmer who owns small farms that are usually just run by one family. In northern Nigeria, there are also a large number of large-scale goat and sheep farms with an estimated 500 to 700 individuals sold each year. What is special is that most of these large-scale farms use a large part of capital provided by traders from China. In addition to Nigeria, Ethiopia is also a country with a large number of goats grazing in Africa. Currently, the number of goats being raised in Ethiopia is close to 30 million, and more than half of them are raised on farms in north and the center of the country. In Ethiopia, farmers often graze millions of goats in highlands with mostly mountainous terrain. Due to the rather dangerous terrain of raising goats, most of the goats here wear bells around their necks to prevent them from straying from the herd. This is a small-scale golden sheep farm in southern Ethiopia. These model farms account for 93 of the number of farms in African countries. When the heavy sunlight gradually ends, the farmers here herd their livestock back into the barn to rest and avoid predators at night. A check on the number of livestock in the herd is also carried out each day to ensure that no goats or sheep are lost. When the goats or sheep are eligible for a release, most of them are taken by farmers to livestock markets to be sold or slaughtered on the spot. In African countries, the trade of farm animals often takes place in small markets in small numbers. Customers here often buy goats or sheep for the purpose of developing a new farm or increasing the number of animals available in their herd. The export of hundreds of sheep or goats usually takes place only on large-scale farms with budgets invested by investors from Asia or France. When talking about the agriculture of a certain state in the United States, an issue that we cannot fail to mention is the animals that harm agriculture. In the spring and fall during their migration, tens of thousands of sandhill cranes often stop in some areas of Wisconsin to source food. For Wisconsin farmers, flocks of sandhill cranes won't affect their crops if they just stop and feed in flooded areas or marshes. However, like many other wild animals in the United States, tens of thousands of sandhill cranes will gather in the fields to forage, and their favorite food is often cereal crops like corn or wheat that have just been sown. It is estimated that around 800,000 sandhill cranes migrate each year through the lands of Wisconsin. Although this bird often causes problems for farmers in recent years, they've also been considered an integral part of the state's agricultural landscape. Hello my friends, temporarily, we are going to move away from the farms of the United States of America today. We're going to some of Africa's vast farmlands to see how the continent's farmers raise millions of animals. According to a report by the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization, by 2022, 1.46 billion acres of land would have been used in Africa for agricultural production, and 47 of that is permanent pasture used for grazing livestock and maintaining ecological balance. Like agriculture in other continents, such as Australia or the Americas, livestock and meat production are amongst the most profitable agricultural products for farmers in Africa. In addition, Africa's agriculture is also negatively impacted by wild animals such as elephants, baboons, warthogs, and wild birds. When it comes to African agriculture, one animal that we cannot ignore is the baboon. Although baboons are not found by farmers in Africa, baboons impress farmers with their negative impact that they have on agriculture. Herds of baboons with dozens of members have a habit of attacking agricultural fields in areas where their habitat has been invaded by humans. In addition, adult baboons often capture and eat animals raised by farmers, such as baby goats, lambs, or poultry. This is a helmeted guinea fowl, which together with Quella's helmeter guinea fowl are considered to be one of the most harmful animals to agriculture in Africa, like the millions of parrots in Australia. Flocks of helmets are guinea fowl like to forage in fields, and their preferred food is nuts. It is estimated there are no less than 47 million helmeted guinea fowl currently living in Africa, and most of them are distributed in a few countries such as Kenya, Tanzania, and Botswana. Currently, most agricultural farming is not very modern with their use of small fields. Therefore, the fact that flocks of wild birds appear when the sowing process has just been completed or when the harvest season is about to take place. This causes significant losses to farmers' crops. Like wild guinea pigs in the United States, helmeted guinea fowl are also particularly fond of feeding on corn, sorghum, and vegetable fields to protect their crops from wild birds. Farmers in Africa often apply manual measures such as chasing or trapping. However, the number of helmeted guinea fowl that are exterminated by humans each year on the continent accounts for only 2% of the total population. The majority of the helmeted guinea fowl that disappear each year in Africa can be contributed to the impact of predators. What is your impression when it comes to agriculture in Africa? Let us know what you think in the comments section of this video.